Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to return to California over in America. We're going to San Diego this time, and this is actually my second visit to this brewery. I was really impressed by the last beer I reviewed from these guys. It was called Untappd. It was a really nice kind of IPA style beer, but for this one we've got another one of their seasonal beers actually. So we're going to go to Modern Times Beer once again, who are from the Point Loma district in San Diego, and this one is the Aurora, which is described as being a Red Rye IPA. So it should be quite nice. It was rated into the 90s on Rate Beer, and a lot of people have said that these guys are a very kind of up and coming brewery on the California craft beer scene. Obviously California is one of the very well known states in America for craft beer, and these guys are one of the new boys, but their beer is pretty damn good, so I'm sure we'll have a good time trying this one. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Modern Times Beer. Hopefully I can add to that in the fairly near future, and there's all the usual social media things, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd, so please follow me on there. Your support would be much appreciated. If you want to see more beer reviews, do subscribe to the channel, and to those of you watching in California, please do recommend some other Californian beers and breweries that you'd like me to have a look at, and I will try my best to get a hold of those. I know there's some great beer over there and I would love to review more of it for you. So to tell you a little bit about Modern Times Beer, as I mentioned, these guys are a relatively new microbrewery and they're based in the Point Loma district of San Diego in Southern California. But the brewery was founded back in 2013 by Jacob McKean, and he's a beer geek and home brewer, and was actually a former employee of Stone Brewing Company. Those guys of course are a very well known Californian brewery. But they brewed their first batch of beer on the 18th of May 2013, and they had their first beers on tap in their tasting room on the 9th of August before their grand opening on the 1st of September. But the brewery operate a 30 BBL system, and today their beers are quite widely distributed right throughout Southern California, and obviously we're getting them over here in southern Sweden. I think they're probably distributed all over Sweden actually through the Systembolaget system. But the brewery is named after the utopian community founded in 1850, and most of their beers are named after utopian ideas or mythological utopias actually. But apparently the Modern Times colony people lived with bartering without the restriction of marriage, and they experimented with a less kind of exploitative and more kind of pleasurable world, if you like. But today the Modern Times colony is in Brentwood on Long Island in New York State, over on the east coast of America. But Jacob has always been very keen on these kind of little pockets of history, and this was why he decided to name his brewery Modern Times Beer, the sort of modern times people, if you like. So quite an interesting little story behind this brewery actually, and I have to admit I do like little quirks like that. I'm a bit of a history buff myself, and I always like learning about really kind of random things like that. I watch North Korea documentaries and Cuba and you know, like Turkmenistan. I love little bits of odd history like that, so I guess this guy kind of operates on the same mindset as me. But this beer, as I mentioned to you, is a Red Rye IPA. They do have a fairly kind of big range of different beers, I guess you could say. So in their core range, these are all the core beers by the way. There's the Loma Land, which is a Saison, Fortunate Islands, which is a tropical wheat beer, Black House, which is a coffee stout, Blazing World, which is an amber. This is one of the seasonal beers, and there's 4 of these. There's Booming Rollers, which is the spring beer from March to May. That's the Citra IPA. Oneida, which I reviewed for you before, which is their summer beer, June to August, Pale Ale. There's this guy here, which is the Aurora, which is the fall beer, September to November. This one's a Red Rye IPA, like I said. And there's the City of the Sun, which is their winter beer, December to February. And I do wonder if that City to Sun will actually appear in the next little while through Systembolaget. But they've also got a range of bottled beers every year, and they also have an exclusive beer that they release in bottle every month. So if you're interested in those, you can take a little look at the website and you will find out more. But let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So as I mentioned to you, this one is a 6.7% Red Rye IPA. It's hopped with Equinox, Centennial, Horizon and the experimental hop 07270. I actually did a bit of research on these because I hadn't heard of these hops before other than Centennial. So Equinox was known previously as HBC 366, and I actually did a review of a Brewdog beer that was a single hop IPA. This one, from what I remember, has a big kind of lemon limey flavour, and it's got a kind of herbal aromaticity to it. It's really interesting. Then there is the Horizon hop, which is a big floral spicy beer hop, I should say. A little bit of herbal character in there as well. And there's also the 07270. This one hasn't been named yet, but this one has a big fruity character, meant to be some really nice sort of orangey, tangerine flavours in this, and also a lot of juicy tropical fruit. So it should be a very interesting one. The malt base on this one is 2-row Crystal Rye, Crystal 40 and Crystal 60. So on the back here it says, Aurora prominently features a couple of new wave American hops, Equinox and 07270. Equinox offers both pungent tropical fruit and rare darkness. 07270 is like the offspring of an orange and a pine cone. We've married that remarkable hop combination with a rye heavy malt bill, giving Aurora a spicy bready backbone to support its heavy hop load. A gorgeous deep ruby hue makes this a real purdy beer in the glass. Drink it with your eyes. So should be quite interesting. Like I say, 6.7% rye IPA, so should be pretty awesome. Apparently it was listed as an amber ale on Rate Beer when I checked that out originally, and this was one of the small partier beers that I picked up recently in Sisti and Bolaget here. If you're watching in California, you may or may not know, in Sweden here we have nationalised beer shops, and basically it's good for beer tasters like me because you can order beer from all over the place, but it means you've only got a limited selection. And every couple of weeks on a Friday they get the small selection beers in, and this one was actually one of those. I brought this one I think on the 22nd of January actually, so I'm filming this review on the 24th, but you'll see it sometime later in March. But as you can see, this beer has poured a really nice kind of coppery amber colour. I'll just check that you're seeing this on the camera. As you can see, a nice kind of coppery amber colour. If you hold it in front of the light, it does have a bit more of a redness to it. It looks absolutely beautiful. There's a finger of a frothy, kind of creamy coloured head on this one actually, but it is a fairly bumpy head, maybe just because of the type of pour that I gave it. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see there is a degree of transparency, but it is slightly opaque. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, but quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, it looks really quite nice. But as you can see, I actually have a different glass today. This one is from Malmö Brewing Company, which is just the city about 15 minutes to the south of where I am in Lund. But very nice looking beer. So let's have a look at the aroma and see what we can get from these hops in this one. So without sugaring this beer up, you can really smell the malt base on this one. There is a good hoppy character to it as well, but what's sticking out to me at the moment is the quite sweet malt base. You can really get that, the crystal malt from what I remember always gives you this really biscuity and quite sweet, almost caramelly character. The red rye of course will give you some of that as well. The 2-row malts have a bit of caramel aspect to them as also, but it smells really nice. You can get just a little bit of a kind of citrusy hop out. It actually smells a little bit orange, to be honest, just without sugaring it up. So let's sugar it up a bit and see what else we can get out of this one. Yeah, it really starts, the hops come out just a little bit more. You start to get more of the herbal and kind of floral character out of this one. There's a little bit of earthy character in there I want to say too, but there is quite a floral and kind of herbal character comes out of this beer. You can pick up a little bit of the fruits in there as well. The fruit isn't too prominent in the aroma, I have to admit, but there's an orangey citrus kind of tangerine character. As I said, that's from the 07270, the experimental hop that's in this one. You can pick up a bit of tropical fruit too, maybe just a little bit. It's the juicier tropical fruits that are in there, you know, the apricots, the mangoes and stuff. There is a bit of, when you sugar it up as well, you can get a bit of the sharper kind of lemon limey notes, and of course that's the Equinox hop that will give you these sharper citrusy notes. The 07270 will give you the kind of sweeter tangerine orange character, but really it's a nice, it's quite a herbal and floral aromatic character that's coming out of the aroma of this beer. But if you let it settle, as I say, it leans more towards the kind of malty aspects of the beer. So as always, just give the beer a little bit of a sugar when you go to smell it, and spend a little bit of time to catch up on the aroma, especially with beers like this that have new and experimental hops in this one. So yeah, let's get stuck into this beer then. This is the Aurora, one of the seasonal beers from Modern Times Beer in Point Loma in San Diego, California. 75% IBUs, 6.7% ABV. Let's get stuck into this beer. Skål! That's quite interesting actually. It's got a fairly good balance between the hops and the malts. Yeah. These beers, from what I remember of the Oneida, they've got a kind of distinct mouthfeel. They've just got a little bit of this kind of chalky character, if you like, and it's to do with the water that's in these beers. It almost reminds me a little bit of some of the organic beers that you used to get in Germany. They had this kind of slightly chalky mouthfeel, but it works quite well and it doesn't affect the flavour at all. It's just a thing that you'll notice on the front of your tongue. You just get this little almost chalky mouthfeel from these beers. But yeah, it's really nice actually. It's quite an oily hop character you're getting from this one. That's probably where that slightly chalky mouthfeel's coming out. But this is really nicely done again. These guys are very highly regarded. They're regarded as one of the, kind of the best new boy breweries in California actually. And it's quite impressive if in 2013 they established, and now in 2015, 2016 they're starting to get their beers into Sweden. That tells you something about the quality of the beer that they're producing. But as I always say, sugar the beer around your mouth a little bit and pick up the different aspects of the flavour. This one though has a very good balance between the hops and the malt. So in the middle of the palate you've got a nice bready character to the beer. There's some nice sweet biscuity and caramel oily flavours in the middle of the tongue. That's the Turo, and there's a bit of that kind of sweetness from the rye bread in there also. It's really nicely done. I mean, I enjoyed the last beer I had from these guys, and this one is no different to that. It's a little bit kind of, obviously it's different in the style because this one's more of a Red Rye IPA, the other one was a paleo. This one's got a bit more malty character to it, but it's equally as good. It's very nicely done. I can see why the guys on Rate Beer have put this into the category of amber ale as well. It does come across a bit like an American amber. The rye is definitely there, but I would say the caramel, it's probably the caramel from the Turo and the crystal malts is kind of playing quite a big role in this too. But I mean, you can argue about styles all day. The main point is that this is a good beer. But yeah, as I said, nice big malty character across the middle of the tongue. As the flavour progresses, you start to get more of the sweeter, slightly oily caramel flavours out of this one. Really nicely done in that regard. You can feel a little bit of the cereally character coming out of this beer too. But overall, it is a very, very nice beer. My computer, Windows 10, is being a pain today, which is very annoying. But yeah, it's very, the malty flavours in this beer are really nicely done. Well, on top of that, you've also got these hoppy characters. If you move out towards the edge of the tongue, that's where these nice juicy hop characters are coming out. In the very back corner, I would say there's just a little hint of kind of earthy character, and as you go further forward it becomes more floral and aromatic. There's a bit of floral dryness on the front corners of the palate, but it's smoother and grassy around the front edge of the tongue. It's really, really nice in that regard actually. There's a bit of herbal character that just underpins it, and maybe a little bit of pine resin too. It's actually quite a complex beer, this one. There's a lot going on in the flavour of this, so just pay a little bit of attention to it, sugar it around your mouth properly, and try and dissect all the flavours you're getting from this one. But yeah, if you pay attention to the little oily bubble you get behind the front curve of your tongue, you'll feel all of these little fruits in there. There's a good orangey, quite kind of darker actually, tangerine or mandarin flavour. That's just the thing that's underpinning this beer. There's a bit of tropical fruit on top of that though, and you've got the peaches, a little bit of apricot and mango, but for me it's really the orangey, kind of the mandarins and the tangerines. It's a darker orangey citrus that's dominating this beer. There's not even really a bit of sharper lemon as I was expecting from the Equinox hop being in there, but overall it's very well balanced, and as you can tell from all the flavours I'm describing to you, there is quite a lot going on in this beer. Yeah, hop characters of this beer are really nice. So as the flavour progresses with this one, I would say the malty sweetness definitely builds. As I said, the caramel and the kind of red rye flavours in this beer build very nicely. The hoppy bitterness just lingers there. It's not too bitter and not too dry, but there's just that nice sort of, that nice dryness that makes you want to drink a little bit more of that. So that's probably good for their kind of profit margin, if you like, but the flavour of the beer is very, very good. So I would recommend this beer to people who like American amber ales, Probably red ales as well, you would enjoy this. English red ales, but with a bit more hop character, would be good for you. But that said, some of the American and some of the New Zealand red ales I've had as well have been quite similar to this. But overall, the main point of this beer is that it's very nice. It's got a lot of nice sweet caramel. The Red Rye adds a bit more depth and complexity to it. The malt base is very nice. The hops have got enough complexity to keep you interested, and the fruity character is quite nice and complex too. For me, when it comes to amber and red ales, I do like a bit more of that orangey citrus, and it hits the spot for me on that note. But in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say mid-bodied. Definitely mid-bodied in that regard. Carbonation is fairly light to moderate. You know, there's enough there to kind of to make it just go down quite nicely. It's quite an oily beer, this one. You have a little bit of it's got quite a kind of cereally character to it if you like this beer. And it just, the oily character helps build these nice malty flavours. The rye bread flavour, particularly, it helps because you get a bit of the caramel sweetness, especially from the Turo and the crystal malts in this. The oily character really helps the malt base for me, but it also helps bring out some of the juicy hoppiness. There is a good juicy hoppy character to this, and some lingering dry bitterness around the edge of the palate too. But overall, like I say, it's another very, very good beer from modern times. I have to admit, I would like to try one of the darker beers, for example a stout or a porter, and see how they get on with those styles. As I say, it's always good when you try a brewery as a beer reviewer. You always want to try one of the things like an IPA or a double IPA, something like that, and then you want to try, for example, an imperial stout, one of the darker beers, because that shows you the two extremes of a brewery's capability. And for me, I've tried 2 hoppy beers now, so the next one I really hope is one of the darker beers. But if these guys are a more hop-headed brewery, that might be a bit difficult to come across. But the main point of this review is, this is another good beer. If you enjoy your American ambers, if you enjoy red ales, you will enjoy this one. It's got a good malty backbone to it, and then some of these nice fruity hoppy characters that you would come to expect of the American West Coast beers. So yeah, if you haven't checked out Modern Times beer, you might want to do so. If you enjoy the amber ales, try this one. If you enjoy more of the IPAs and stuff, probably try out the Oneida. I can't really speak for the other beers yet, but hopefully in the fairly near future I can pick some of those up. So do check those out if you get the chance. Modern Times beer are available in Sweden, so those of you watching in Sweden can get a hold of these beers through Systembolaget. If you are trying this beer for yourself, please let me know where in the world you're trying it. It would be cool to see how they're actually exporting this beer, so please let me know about that. But as always, let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. To my Californian viewers, please do let me know some other beers and breweries you'd like me to have a look at. But please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my social media things too. It'd be cool to hear from you guys on there. I thank you once again for watching this beer review, but the most important thing is go and check out Modern Times beer from Point Loma in San Diego in California. This has been another really good beer. Check it out if you enjoy your American ambers and your American red ales. Thanks for watching once again. This is Rampant Lion Reviews, and I will catch you soon. Cheers.